Hello and welcome, and thanks for joining in live. We three have decided, just because we have momentum and enthusiasm amongst us on this sardine challenge. And I know, Courtney, this is your first time around the block here on this, but I know Adrian, who's somewhat of a sardine lover, right?
I'm a sardine challenge lover, that's for sure.
Okay. And this was probably my second or third, because I did do this with my summer health and weight loss challenge groups last year. And, this kind of came about for me realizing as I watched Dr. Ba's amazing results with occasionally popping in there and seeing, like, what the heck is this? And the fact that she put out information based on all of the people who were joining in on this, that for people who are insulin resistant, you have better numbers, meaning glucose, ketones, and weight loss better than water fasting when you do the sardine challenge. I like to call it a sardine challenge instead of a sardine fast, because that just seems strange. But so the curiosity hit me, but the fact that I had never in my life ever opened a can of sardines nor tasted one out anywhere, I thought, ooh, I'm not so sure I'm into that. And I resisted for quite a while because the thought of it just really grossed me out. And if you've seen any of my sardine challenge videos from last year, you will see my exact feelings about it and how I came about coming up with what I called a modified sardine challenge. So for anybody here who's listening, and I'm not so sure you would be if you were so averse to this whole idea, but there's ways around it, making those sardine patties, making sardine, what I call seafood bisque. But so I want to introduce, many of you know, and we're streaming on their channels also, Adrian Gledhill and Courtney Luna. Thank you for joining in. And I'm going to say first, what spurred this on right now was, we'll pull it up here, Courtney's interview with Greg, who's the RV carnivore, and how he is on a mission to feel better and get rid of a gut that he had, right? Courtney, why don't you describe a little bit of that?
Yeah, he said he fell off the wagon a little bit, and we have KetoCon's Hack Your Health in a couple weeks, and he's like, I can't show up with my, he has the RV that's wrapped in essentially like the cuts of the steak. He calls it brisket. He's like, I can't show up and represent carnivore, being 30 pounds heavier than I was last time. So he talked to Dr. Boz, and she told him, go ahead and do the sardine fast until then. So he's like a couple weeks in. And just hearing him talk about it, like, I didn't even know that's what we were going to talk about. Like, the plan was not sardine fast. I didn't know that's what he was doing. So when he started talking about it, he was just saying a lot of things that like clicked and made sense. And, the sardines are the medicine. And sometimes you just have to do like hard, uncomfortable things to get to where you want to go. And he used the analogy of like, I guess kind of we're taxiing on the runway right now and just waiting to take off. And for me, like, I haven't taken off from the taxiing in like a year. So it's like, you know what? My husband's been trying to get me to do a water fast, and I'm very resistant because I like to eat. So I'm like, okay, this would be the next best thing, because I'd be eating very light, because there's no way I'm going to eat thousands of calories of sardines. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And so I started the next day after that chat, which was yesterday. It was my day one. And can I just say, I thought sardines were disgusting. I have only had one brand. That was a year ago. I haven't had them since. It was the
This one, right?
Planet. Yeah. And everyone's like, when I bought them, everyone was raving about them. So I bought like a huge case too. And I'm like, oh, these are not good. And so I choked down two tins yesterday. And I'm like, I'm going to try another brand. The King Oscars. Oh my gosh. Like, I didn't know. Yes. I didn't know that, there could be like so many different flavors. Like they're sardines. How are they different? So the King Oscars were so mild, like not fishy at all. I would say even more mild than like a can of tuna. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. Like I'm not going to be miserable the next 10 days. I may not, love them. I'd probably rather have a steak, but like this will be good. So here I am, day 2. I'm feeling good. I've got lots of energy. Just a little cracked out.
Yeah. So, Adrian, what's your? I just decided that it would be a good idea for us to just really kind of share how we're at this point right now. So, where are you at with this?
So last summer, I joined your summer challenge, and you had inferred that maybe we eat sardines Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the whole summer. And I think a lot of people made it week 1 and week 2. And I was like, week 8, woo, let's go. And everybody else was like, and the slow chipping away, I lost 18 pounds by repetitively doing it. A 10-day fast might make us feel great. It might get us into autophagy. It might reduce our inflammation, but it's like the repetitive motion. And Dr. Boz talks about that too. She does like a 2-day fast every week when she's working with her groups, and kind of the same thing with the sardines. It could be something you could just implement into your routine that resets you every single week. And I remember just feeling amazing every time. You get energy, you get brain clarity, your ketones go through the roof. You do lose weight. It feels so good. So a few times, so I did it a lot last summer, and then there's been times since then that I've done it. I bet I've done this 20 times at least. I bet I've done it 20. And I don't like sardines. The very first day, I feel like I'd rather throw up than put a sardine in my mouth. But after the first day, and the other thing is, the first day, everybody can smell you too. They're like, "Whoo, what is that?" And you're like, "It's my breath." Sorry, everybody. But after that, your stomach acid apparently changed, Dr. Boz said. And I think it's true that after the first day, you don't have fishy breath, and they do start tasting better. They really do. So I came into this though because I was doing the lion, and that was great. It was such a great experiment, and I was feeling so good. And then my thyroid took a dive. And I've even went on thyroid medicine, and the medicine, I've gained weight since going on the medicine. So my thyroid's really struggling, and we're working on that. And I'm so puffy and miserable. And I know this is one thing that makes me feel better. And here's the crazy thing. When you have thyroid issues, a lot of times people tell you don't mess with any fasting because your body's already under stress. Some people say that. Some people will say, let's fast and that'll help your body. But you got the different camps. I think the reason that sardines work is because they're full of those good omegas, and they're full of selenium, 2 things that people with thyroid issues really thrive with. So they make me feel amazing. So they must work well with whatever thyroid issues I'm having. So I knew, even though I didn't want to do this, I've been thinking about it for a few weeks. And then when Courtney said it, I was like, thank you for saying that. I'm in. I'm sold. And I got my sardine salad right here.
Yeah, and I'll add to this discussion, aside from the upcoming Hack Your Health KetoCon and impending DEXA scans that we would like to compare to last year's DEXA scan and not have it worse. I look at this from an angle of, I have, and if you know me, I've said this many times, a very, very long history of disordered eating, binge eating, sugar addiction, carb addiction. And I find that when we turn to food for emotional reasons, and even when you're carnivore and you feel such relief, like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Like, I found the answer here. Well, guess what? We still have emotional voids. We still have stress. We still have reasons for, whether it's stress, anxiety, anger, boredom, that causes us to, I'll say, relapse back to old habits of turning to food. And I found I could eat a pound of bacon. I could fry up, heat up cheese to no end. If I made chaffles, I want to eat 8 chaffles, not 1. And so, and then forget about the whole, pork rinds dipped in cream cheese, or, any of these other things that I convinced myself it's okay, it's carnivore, but it doesn't do good for the muffin top over the pants. And it doesn't do good for feeling really good in your skin, feeling like you have peace around food. And I find that if I reset, well, again, this is only, I think, my third sardine challenge, but I find that when I do this, aside from feeling so good, and we could attribute that to ketones because dang, it was really fun monitoring ketones and glucose and watching the ketones go up and the glucose come down and the weight come off on the scale. I was like, wow. But aside from that, it's like, wow, now I know when I was turning to food without it being true hunger, because then I coined the term, and maybe it's not mine, but I said, am I sardine hungry at this point? Oh, no, 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 no. I would not be opening up a can of sardines right now. Like that is in my day-to-day carnivore life after doing a sardine challenge. It's like, am I sardine hungry? As case in point today, day one for me of potentially a 10-day. We never know where these things go because I was going to do 90 days on Lion and jump ship on that because Courtney got us all fired up about this sardine. I said, I'm ready to do this again. And, I just wanted to get back in touch with that feeling of when am I truly hungry? And it makes you pay attention to how many other times during the day you have that moment of like, oh, no, not really hungry. Oh, it's time to, nope, it's not time. So today I went all the way till 3:45. And then I said, okay, I'm sardine hungry. Opened up a tin and ate it. For the first time though, today, because all my other challenges, because again, I'm a person grossed out by this. I would heat up a tablespoon of butter in a pan, open, drain, and quickly dump the sardines in and start chopping them up so they quickly look like just kind of tuna salad. And 5-6 seconds of that and poured it right onto a plate and ate it. And today I opened up the tin, drained it, and I squirted some mustard on it. And I just ate it like a big girl with her big girl panties on. I felt so proud of myself because I kept thinking, oh, I can't stick a fork in it and just eat them. But the ones that I actually did today that were really good, and I know we can have the discussion about the boneless, skinless, and the bone in. I do feel there's benefit. The bone, just remember everybody, the bone is not a hard, crunchy bone. It's like cartilage or soft, like it's weird and it's not as gross as you would picture, but I still prefer to not have it on my first day. So I did the boneless, skinless sardines in water and this particular brand. And I have lots of different brands, and I'm actually going to go over that in a slide later. But I do want to give credit to, this is funny, but this is Dr. Boz, has quite a few videos on this. Kickstart metabolism in 3 days with sardines. And this is what's part of this when we say kickstart your metabolism. I don't know exactly what it is, but there is something magical, and we call them the magical fishies. I don't know, but I certainly can't figure out how it gets your glucose down and your ketones so high when you can eat as many cans of these things as you want during the day. So I just find that really interesting, but great that she has this and we jumped in, even those of us who didn't want to. So do you have any here? I'll put up here purposes, the reset or kickstart to get off a weight loss stall, or just to help yourself out in maybe we fell into the ditch, or maybe we went off kilter a little bit with our plan. And maybe it's just a point where we're like, you know what? This helps me feel in control. I can eat when I'm hungry. I can have as much as I want until I'm satiated. And here's those examples. I say, you learn really what true hunger is witness in yourself where you might not have before, your glucose and ketones. I know I was going to ask you to see if you would monitor daily. I think, Courtney, you said your monitor is not at your house right now, but it'd be interesting. We were thinking about doing a 1 week follow up to this next Monday, just so that we can really have just a discussion of what our experience is, because there's no exact science to this, and this is all coming from how we experience it and what our body does with it. But learning how often you're emotionally turning to food, that's a biggie for me, and that we are going to get a lot of benefits without hunger. I'm not a fan of fasting. I don't like the feeling. I don't know if, as a disordered binge eater in the past, whether it triggers something, but it's not something that I feel really good doing. I know some people do, and that's great, but this is something that really has helped me out. And I'm going to encourage anybody who sends me these emojis all the time when this topic gets brought up. And Courtney, you can, of course, chime in with that. But listen up, all you who freak out at the thought of this, because I'm one of those. Courtney was one of those, probably Adrian too. But the turnaround in thought, once you actually, stop putting up this barrier that this thing is so disgusting and listen to us, it really tastes like tuna. It really does. And okay, maybe you hate tuna too, but like Courtney said, I guess we could take it like we do our medicine, right? And I'm going to also talk about the huge nutrient density of these things, right? So this is awesome graphics from our favorite Judy Cho, Nutrition with Judy. We'll give her credit for these, but it really lays out, because yes, I could say these crazy magical fishies, but here's a big part of the magic is seeing how nutrient dense they are. And they're also, as it shows in the other one of the lowest mercury fish. So if we're looking at having something like this without, because we know tuna is high in mercury, and it's because they're so small. And I'll go into that a little bit also. But what do you think as far as, Courtney? I know you're really only your second day in, but how are you thinking that this has changed your thought process on this whole thing?
Well, first, can I just say I got a notification on my phone that my pack of sardines were delivered. I never thought I would ever be excited to be eating sardines. And I'm excited because it's a different brand of King Oscars that I haven't tried yet. Yeah, I'm feeling a huge shift already. Like, I feel amazing, but I'm noticing the times that I am like going to grab something, whether it's like something my kid didn't finish. Like, I almost ate like a bite of their burger patty, or just noticing like just the urge to have something out of like habit. And habit, I mean, as like a way of like self-soothing my stress. So I mean, that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this too, because yes, a couple weeks ago I did say I'm never doing another challenge again. If I say I'm going to do one, remind me. And I've had a few people remind me that I said that. But I feel like this one was different. Like, it was a different mindset going into this. Like, it was almost like, I don't want to say like desperate, but it's like, okay, I'm finally ready. Like, I need to buckle down and get a handle of it on this. And my weight, but also the emotional eating and grabbing foods when I'm not truly hungry. And I don't think the sardines are going to like fix that per se. Like, there's a lot of inner work I need to do as far as like dealing with my stress in other ways. But this 100% shows you true hunger levels. And are you hungry enough to eat a sardine is going to be my new baseline for sure. It used to be cold burger patties, but I feel like this is even better because I could probably still eat cold burger patties if I wasn't truly hungry. So, are you sardine hungry? Is like, we need shirts, I think, made. Like, what a great reminder. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. And I have high hopes to make it 10 days. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about it yeah, but Adrian, you mentioned you don't have high hopes because of your sleep usually tanks halfway through.
Yeah, I've done quite a few experiments and I've made it 5 days, probably at least 5 times. And by day 5, I'm starting to have sleep issues. But I don't know if that's because the ketosis is so high or
Did you measure your ketones each day and you knew your ketones were like skyrocket?
yeah, sometimes it would say like too high. You know how the meter will say too high.
So it
So
was
they'd
like
be really
4,
high. And then,
5. Do you remember what it was?
well, I would definitely hit the 4s and then it would literally say too high and not give me a number. So I don't know, is that a
Oh.
10? But I want to just add in there, I have chronic inflammatory response syndrome. So my body doesn't react the same way as other people. Like some people don't do well with high ketosis, and maybe that's me. But I'm hopeful this time for not that because I've been really inflamed and I really just want to feel better.
Yeah. And I'll add in here the other huge benefit. It's a great vitamin D food. Um, it's number 6 there on the list, right? So uh, I think that all around we have to think, wow, we're not harming ourselves by doing this. We're certainly eating a really nutrient dense food and not very visually appealing, but magical. Let's
Yeah,
just throw
Courtney's
that
had
out.
tails today.
She
Oh
had
my
what?
gosh.
Hers had
Tails the other day.
tails.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wasn't expecting that. And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." And my kid, like, he loves it. It's like he'll rip the spines out and he'll eat them plain just to like torture me. And he's like, "Give me the tails." And he was just eating the tails by itself.
Do you have a slide in here about how many people eat? Because I know I do it differently than you do, Dr. Lisa.
yeah. But yeah, I only did one strict, let's say, Boz sardine challenge once, because the next time I did it, I think I did it one day and then I segued right into that seafood bisque, sardine bisque. It's actually sardine soup. It's really good though. It's cod liver. I actually have, if you guys, as I go through the slides here, you can take a screenshot. I have the recipe up for that. And then I was doing mixing, smashing the sardines, mixing with an egg, and I forget what else. I have the recipe for that too, and frying it in butter. But I still found I was not overeating because they weren't like that fabulous. And I was really waiting till I got hungry. So, and in a really great way, I still got great benefits. That's why I wanted to encourage people who are maybe freaked out to open up. I have not actually seen tails on any of mine. That would probably annoy me. But yeah, just do it what I call the modified sardine challenge and work your way up like little baby steps. And then here we'll talk about just some people who have histamine intolerances, try to avoid the smoked variety. I happen to really enjoy the ones that say lightly smoked. And I'm not really a big fan of smoked, so I don't know why I can say that. It's just very lightly smoked, but not good for people with histamine issues. And we'll bring up this indigestion repeating. I've had people say, "Oh, I have one and it repeats on me the rest of the day. I can't do it. Nope, done, out." But according to Dr. Boz, right, and the experience of people in her groups is that hang in there, it will adjust and go away. So that's something that to consider and not be so sardine averse. And here I just pulled up a whole bunch. I mean, I've got a lot, yeah, the ones that some of them that are even on here that I pulled up, but you know what? You just have to try them and see what you like. Just there's so many different ones. So I don't think anybody could outright say this one's the best and everybody go buy it and be happy with it. But I know that Great Value, the one from Walmart, it's like 98 cents, $1.02. it's ridiculously inexpensive. And that's another pretty cool thing about this. I guess unless you're getting the premium bristling. I know there's some that I've looked in the stores and they might be, some of them could be $4 or $5 a can. I'm like, whew, we don't need really to go there with that, because there's other ones that are just really good and not that expensive. But I think that it's one of those things you just have to keep going. Now, here's the other thing that I'll throw out there: herring, kippers, and mackerel. And I get a lot of people who ask questions about that because it's all right in the same section. They're all really good with the omega-3s. And I remember hearing back when I tried this for the first time that mackerels were milder. So I was like, ooh, I'm all in. Let's go buy some mackerel. And I was kind of just trying different things. And these are all really good. And then I started wondering and thinking, what exactly is the difference between a mackerel, a herring, a kipper, and a sardine? And so I looked it up because I get confused, and you'll see why, because listen to these: sardines, mackerel, and herring all have slightly different tastes. Sardines and herring are more assertive. You like that term? More assertive. How about stinky or fishier is what they really are saying. While mackerel is milder and buttery. I will say, not so sure I would describe it as mild and buttery, but definitely not strong like when you do one of these, right, Courtney? You know what those taste like. Are sardines and kippers the same? They belong to the same family, similar in many ways. Most kippers are herring. Sardines are usually pilchard or sprat. And then I start getting lost when I keep seeing all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, I don't really think that it's that necessary. But they're seriously rich in omega-3, sardines and mackerel. A 16-ounce can of sardines is about 3,600 milligrams, while 15-ounce, about the same, of mackerel is 4,815. So they're comparable. And I think that if you take a liking to mackerel, it's fine. And people ask, well, can I substitute a can of salmon for this sardine fast? I said, no, you're missing the point here, because you're trying to strive to put something on your plate that you like better. And it also has a different nutrient profile. So I think that's also something to consider. And all right, I'm going to throw this out to you two. What do you put on your sardines? What have you been doing, Courtney?
I actually ate some today plain. I got this, okay. I got a new kind from Traders and I didn't read the ingredients. And when I got home, I did see that it had natural flavor. So I wasn't thrilled about that, but I didn't look at the nutrition facts and I saw that it had 5 carbs, which I thought it was weird. That makes me wonder what the natural flavors are. But I ate both of them anyways. I bought 2. I'm like, I'm not going to let it go to waste. They were very good. So I actually ate those plain. Yesterday with the Wild Planet were so fishy to me. I used so much mustard to try and cover it up. And it helped. I think the mustard's good. I bought a horseradish mustard. So I probably will use a little dollop just for a flavor change, but I don't feel like I need to cover up the flavor anymore. Mayo, I'm not using mayo right now just because I'm trying to lose weight. And I don't know if I necessarily want to be adding that extra fat right now, but it would be delicious. And I did do a squeeze of lemon yesterday and I don't really have an interest in hot sauce, at least right now. Not right now.
How about you, Adrienne?
Okay, so I use the Primal Kitchen mayo. I like the green one, not the blue one. The blue one has some nasty ingredients in it, in my opinion. And then I use some organic mustard. I use this a lot. I do eat them plain sometimes. Like if I'm in the car, but pour the juice outside of the car, it will end up staining your clothes. Not that that's happened 100 times. Sometimes I chop pickle. I know, come on, police. But a little chopped pickle in there is really good. And then a little bit of Bacon bits. I know what you're thinking. Like, this diverts from the sardine challenge, but here's the thing. I've done this so many times that you have to kind of do what makes it a little bit more palatable. And I don't do that all the time. And even with adding tiny bits, I am not eating bacon slices. I have like a half of a teaspoon of bacon bit. Even adding those couple of things, I still go into ketosis. I still have amazing benefits. And another thing I want to say is I take medicine 4 times a day for my surge. So I eat a lot. Like, I'll eat 8 to 10 cans and it still works, you guys. And here's another thing. I'll test my numbers day 1 and day 2 and day 3 afterwards, and the ketones last. It doesn't just evaporate the next day. You stay in ketosis. And then, so other things I do, I'll make like sardine cakes where you mix it with egg, and then I'll powder it in pork panko, and fry it in the frying pan. Another thing, sometimes I just take bacon grease and mix it. So I always use, my favorites are the Walmart in water. They're beefy. I know there's no weird oil in there. And then I add my own fat. So that's mostly what I do. You could also air fry them.
Yeah. And so to what you're saying, as far as making it into that little salad thing with a little pickle and all, that was my experience really when I started messing around with it. And here, I'll put up the seafood bisque, I called it, because sardine soup sounded too disgusting. But it basically is a couple cans of sardines, a can of cod livers, because they're really healthy, a little bit of butter, a little bit of bacon, either clam juice or bone broth or water. I did a half a can also of anchovies, and that's basically it. Pulverize it with an immersion blender, and it is amazing. And if you go into that YouTube video and look at the comments, people are agreeing. It tastes like it came from a 5-star restaurant. It just is so good. So so this is the recipe that I have now. I think this is probably a little different than what I have in that video, but I've perfected of making it so many times. And I'm finding it's not so specific, all these specific amounts here. I just start dumping in 2-3 cans, half a stick of butter, the can of cod. Like, I'm not really paying attention. And every single time I'm going to tell you, oh, and a little apple cider vinegar. It gives that a little bit of a twang. It's just really, really good. And I encourage people to do something like this to make it palatable. And here's the other thing that I would make: this sardine, salmon, tuna, egg, chicken salad. I know it sounds crazy, but I would do a couple into a food processor, a couple cans of sardines, and then a can of salmon, a can of tuna, and then I would do 5 or 6 soft-boiled eggs. And the yolk of the soft-boiled eggs, as that pulverized, was sort of the binder instead of mayonnaise, because I'm not using that. And then I would open up a large can of chicken breast. I know, canned stuff. I get it. Don't write nasty comments, people. Sometimes we just do things because it's easy and it works. And then I would fold in this mixture that was coming from, and even do a little chopped pickle, a little pickle juice, a little mustard. I'm trying to think of the recipe, and that's stupid because I have it right here. But yeah, this is basically it. And it worked. Why? Because as I ate it, I totally had a shut off point. Like, yeah, I've had enough. I've had enough. Okay, we're just going to put the lid on, put it back in the fridge. And then later, yeah, maybe I would come to it a little bit sooner than I would have just a plain can of sardines, but it still worked really well for weight loss, ketones, and glucose. So like I said, I just want to encourage people to not turn your nose up to what we're talking about here. Oh, and this is also, here's the macros of that fish salad or whatever you want to call it. And it's, yeah, really, I'm going to say, good, but not too good, because here is what I wrote. A perfect food is one that's nutritious and you enjoy, but not so much as to want a second helping. This is what's called, volume control here. You need 100% sober behavior around these chosen foods if weight loss is your goal. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you come from my world of overeating and getting seconds when you know you're really not hungry, then you'll kind of connect with what I'm saying here. That's why part of why this works so well. So I think that we have to really think about what we're doing and why. And Courtney, you made that post, and I'm going to pull it up here, that because there was commentary, and this very verklempt person wrote, isn't part of getting over disordered eating creating peace with food, aka choosing food you actually enjoy? Doing a sardine mono diet to lose weight sounds exactly like disordered eating. You know what disordered eating is? Disordered eating is having a mono diet of crap food like cookies and ice cream and pizza. That's disordered eating. But I refrained from that, and I just said doing these challenges greatly helps me understand true hunger, also helps me understand that the more I actually enjoy the food, the greater my disordered eating background has me overeating these foods like chaffles and pork rinds and heavy cream and cheese. I enjoy these carnivore foods, but don't feel peace around them because I realize I can overeat them. And sure as heck, you can gain weight on carnivore. I don't want anybody to think otherwise, because there are people out there that will say that. Just eat as much as you want, eat to satiety. My brain wants more, and it becomes too easy to turn to these foods emotionally and not for true hunger. And this sardine challenge has been a big learning experience, as well as a fun time watching the ketones go up and the glucose and your weight go down. So I think it's really important to not be so critical of what people are trying, and that we're humans too. And I'm very open and honest about my struggles and what I'm going through and why someone like me would do something like this, because I'm still, even 15 years into carnivore, still battling my demons of being addicted to sugar, carbs, and processed food, and battling the learned behavior of turning to food, whether it's chaffles and pork rinds and bacon and cheese or said other toxic foods. It's still something that we need to be very aware of. And we're just here trying different things. We hear things. I know there's a lot of conflicting information. Maybe we should go, you know, verge over to Mindy Pels and Jason Fung and say, okay, we all got to just get our bottles of water out and let's go to town on figuring out how to fast. And I've tried that. And I know that for right now, that's not something that sits well with me. So I don't know. Do you two like have input on that? As far as I just feel like we're here just being open and sharing our experience, but not really wanting to have to like put up a shield and take the criticism of people saying, how could you possibly think that's healthy?
Yeah. I mean, oh, go ahead, Adrian.
Well, people seem to be okay with fasting. Like that's not disordered, but here we are eating protein and nutrients and in a way fasting. And actually Dr. Boz has shown that for many of her patients, this is more effective than fasting. So I think this is great. And then also for me, you know, after gaining 100 pounds after The Biggest Loser, my body struggles to lose weight. So sometimes I need to push it a little bit and then back off, and then push it a little bit and back off. It doesn't just fall off for me at all. In fact, I fight my body not to gain weight. So sometimes doing these little pushes helps boost my metabolism and helps move me in the direction I want to go. Am I going to eat sardines every day for the rest of my life? No, but it's a good metabolism pusher, and it helps me get to my goal. Also it makes me feel better, not just weight wise. It gives you energy, and it really is magical, and you wouldn't guess it until you tried it, right, Courtney?
Yeah, no, it feels really good. Yeah, it's like I almost didn't post about it. Like I wasn't planning on sharing, like I'm making a YouTube vlog for my 10 days, but I wasn't planning on like sharing every day. But I did share the first day because I wanted to just let everyone know what I'm doing. And then I shared today because I wanted to share a better brand that I found, like, hey, I don't hate them anymore. And I might not post anymore about it because I'm just already annoyed at the comments I'm getting. It's like, just let me do this. And I don't know, like, I'm getting some comments that are like, you should just eat a calorie deficit or just do regular carnivore. Like, even, I mean, I have haters that don't eat this way at all, but then I also have like carnivore haters that just can't like wrap their brains around why we're doing this. And it's like, you know, it's just frustrating because it's like, oh, okay, then watch some of our old stuff to know like why we got here, and you know, our emotional eating issues and all that. So yeah, it's a little frustrating when people don't get it, and I don't know. I like it so far.
Yeah, and I was going to add here, since I'm hoping you two will join in a week from tonight, and we'll just give our honest review whether we made it up to the 7 days. I know we're all planning on doing the 10, but and how we're feeling. I've not ever done 7 days of this, so this will be interesting. And I also for my own, because I like to measure and I like to use progress as a motivating factor. So I was telling Adrian and Courtney about this app called the Me 360. It's a free app. That's a picture of me over on the side.
Whoa, baby.
So this figure, oh, here, I better take that off of that figure comes up on the screen, and you get into position and it turns green when you match into it. And then it takes your measurements, like all measurements plus a body fat percent. Is it exactly equal to a DEXA scan? Of course not. But the really cool thing, and I'm going to pull it up here on my screen, is you can do a comparison from the first time you did it to the last time, or just week to week. And you can take your finger and spin, and you're spinning side by side, and it tells you up at the top the 2 dates that you're spinning. And you can actually, it's really pretty effective in seeing the change. And that's a motivation. And, you know, we need all the motivation we can get, because this is an ongoing issue that we have, trying to deal with, trying to get to our ideal body weight, trying to deal with our relationship with food, and trying to deal with, in our case, people's commentary about us and what we're doing. And it's just really, I think, beneficial to have that. And I think if you don't do it, you'd be like at the end when you've all of a sudden say, wow, look where I came. It would have been really cool to have day one and the last day to spin side by side. So, and it's free. So, and it's really easy to use. So I kind of think that's a pretty cool thing to do.
And it has the sliding bar, so it can show you what you could look like if you lost 15 pounds. And it has, I think, pretty accurate measurements of like your arms and your waist. So you don't have to
your
whip
thigh,
out the tape measure and try to get the exact same spot as last time and try to breathe exactly the same. And yeah. And you know what else? I just like to do hard things sometimes. I don't know about you guys, but I just like to prove to myself I'm doing everything I can, and I like to do hard things.
Here we go.
Yeah. And you know what? This is the most exciting thing going on in my life right now. So
and here, if it was easy, everybody would have a flat stomach. You got to do the hard things, right? And it's doing what most people don't and most people won't that will get you to your goals. And sometimes you just got to dig in. And personally, I find huge benefit in groupthink and doing this as a group. I do have my community, and we're doing this within that also. The summer challenge I have, and it's not all just sardines. You can choose your hard, and it's just so empowering to do it together. And that's why when Adrian was jumping on Courtney's, who was jumping on Greg's, I said, all right, and play leapfrog here. Let's jump on in. And I really wanted to also have it so that more people are aware of it. I don't know how many people follow Dr. Boz or, something like that. And to see such really great benefits from it, I just, I know you guys are the same way. It's like, you know what? People have to know about this. And actually, after the 7 days, maybe I should shut up now. And at 7 days, when we do our follow up video, we'll be able to better promote or say, you know what, this was what I struggled with. And that's exactly what I want. Like, at what point, what level, like, for sure, I'm going to do my ketones tomorrow morning. I do them first thing when I get up. I just do them once. But I'd like to know if I do have a night of really bad sleep, I want to know what the ketones were, that is what that level is that causes that. And this is not like we're not doing this ongoing for the rest of our life. This is, again, a learning experience. All right, so let's hop over and grab some questions over in the chat. Let me see. There was a question. Somebody had, what's the name of that app? It's Me 360, and I'll put information in the show notes for this. Somebody had asked about the oil, and I know some people get the sardines in the olive oil. Of course, there are plenty on the shelf, so be aware. Cottonseed oil, soybean oil, there are plenty that are in that, so be super cautious. But I personally, and Adrienne, you're going to give your little experience with it, but I don't trust any oil. I don't trust any company to put pure olive oil, and that's my thing. And I'm happy with the ones in water. And if I needed a little extra fat, it's really easy just to saute it in a little butter, or maybe just add a little softened butter. So what, Adrienne, you've experienced with that?
So I'm Mrs. Sensitive. Like, I can't, when we go to the restaurant, I do have to say, please, no seed oils, or I will get sick. And I tried some, even the expensive sardines that claim that it's olive oil, and I get sick. So to me, what people say is that they've been tested, and many of them that say that they're in olive oil, it's still mixed, and they're not disclosing that. And so based on my stomach, I would say that's true with some of them.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm sure there are legit companies out there with legit olive oil. I know a lot of people eat the olive oil with the sardines, and some people say, well, I drain it all off, so it's okay. And that could be okay too. I'm just telling you my experience and what I do, but
Some of them in oil are more expensive, so just save your money and pick your favorite oil.
well, what's your favorite oil? Now you got to trust that your favorite oil you're buying is also a pure oil. But, I'm sure there's a way of figuring out what is, there's got to be some sort of legit list of pure olive oils, and get that and add it. But let's see. I got people writing in here that we're motivating them to
Can I add
jump
something while
on.
you're looking that up?
Yeah.
On day 1 for me, I always have a ton of hunger cues. So we were doing lion, and every time I do a challenge, by the end, I figure out a way to emotionally eat. Like, for me, it would be like, bring on the flanken ribs and the carnivore bars, and I'll eat that all day. But in the beginning, I didn't have that. But towards the end, I'm like, bring on the flanken ribs and the carnivore bars. So I was really hungry when I started today, having tons of cravings. So I ate a lot of sardines today. And if I want to eat some sardines before bed, I will. And honestly, you think, well, that must be wrong, but it really helps you reset for the very next day. It doesn't, for me, and I've done this a lot, I might eat a lot of sardines the first day, but the second day, it's like your hunger cues reset, and you don't find yourself snacking or on sardines or, and I know that's not everybody's experience, but that's mine. I eat a lot of sardines day 1, and it still works, guys.
Yeah. I've never eaten a lot of sardines. So, but I do remember also Dr. Boz saying that it's perfectly fine. Whereas normally we say, don't eat 3 to 4 hours before bedtime and da, da, da. perfectly fine to eat a can of sardines right before bed. And I think I did that a couple times in a prior challenge and didn't affect me as far as digestion or, feeling yuck going to sleep because it's really only a little can. So, and do you pay attention to that, Courtney, with the timing?
I was just thinking about that because it's 6 o'clock here and I've only had three. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of hungry, but I don't want to eat before bed. But if I'm like actually hungry, I will. But just the three I've had, like super satiating. Like it's not like I'm sitting here like ravenous. But yeah, if I was hungry, I would still probably eat before bed. Whereas normally, if I'm eating normally, like I wouldn't.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking I had one 3.75 ounce of this and 150 calories, and I'm not hungry. It's the most bizarre thing. I mean, I could eat like, if I had flanken ribs in front of me, I could eat the package. But do I feel like having another tin of sardines? I don't know. Maybe it's 9 o'clock here, so probably not. But I'm not.
I
I'm not.
With our group, we would post our ketones each day, and so I'm eating a lot more, and the people who are eating more like Lisa and Courtney, your ketones will be higher. Mine will stay in the 2s until I hit like day 3, day 4. So my ketones raise slower because I eat more, but it does still work. At least that's what we've seen in the group.
Yeah, and if you two don't mind, and I'll do this too, but let's just keep track, and then I could do a little graphic of what, in general, what we were eating each day, and see if it varies over time. Does it increase? Does it stay about the same? Like all that'll be really interesting information. And then one other thing the three of us threw out to a topic is thinking, wow, it'd be pretty cool if we could get Dr. Boz to come on next week for the video, but I don't know how that works as far as being able to get in touch with her, but I'll give it an attempt because that would be really pretty neat. So let's see if I can. Oh yeah. So Tammy says, I love that scan. Had no idea it could spin. It's really cool. Just take your finger and just slide it. And then like Adrian said, on the bottom, there's a slider for I think it allows you to go if you weighed more or if you weighed less, it actually will kind of just show. And it's actually really pretty accurate from at least what I see on my scans. Getting 7 days without beef makes 1 week. Yeah, there will, man, the day after the end of this will be Austin, Texas, and bring on the barbecue. But
Yes, we're earning
we're-
our barbecue.
but we're not binging. We're not overeating. But yeah. So, okay, we got people jumping in. Erin says, going to give it a try. Just ordered some sardines. And we have the sardine patties recipe showed us on a video. Is this a good one for this challenge? Yeah. So I'm telling you, absolutely. I did an entire challenge just on the bisque soup as one meal and the whatever we're going to call it, fish salad for the other one, chicken, fish, egg salad. And it worked beautifully. And I just think it's a great for people, especially who are so hesitant and resistant to doing this. I think it'd be really worthwhile to jump in with a version of this. So,
Yeah, in Dr. Boz's, she says get the sardines in oil. So she does suggest that you aren't just having them in water. She suggests that you have that little bit of added fat. So if you are buying them in water, it's okay to add the fat. And I've tried both, and it is more satiating if you have a little fat.
yeah, and I'm thinking about back to when I did this the Boz way, the strict regular way. Every time I did saute it in 1 or 2 tablespoons of butter that got mixed in quickly and just poured onto the plate. So Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. The sardines themselves have a really great protein fat ratio, so you can do it either way, but I'm gonna guess, yeah, her point is when it's in the oil, you have that extra little satiety from it. So, I got comments about the Primal Kitchen. Didn't like it got chosen today and need to try that next. So yeah, I think the Dukes is just the whole canola soybean oil thing, right? So here we've got Natalie says, "Hi, Courtney. Love your content. Loved your interview with Greg. You're an inspiration. I love that you keep it real. Thanks for the motivation." Yeah, this is what this is about, is not just throwing out like, got to eat a stick of butter and this is what works. This is like just real time what we're doing and why. And I think that's really valuable. So how Pamela says, we just got to brush our teeth after the sardines. I don't find, well, I haven't smelt my own breath. I don't find my breath any different. I guess I do brush my teeth after I eat the can, but and here, Tig Nim says, I can eat 2 to 3 cans at once and it lasts me all day and evening. Yeah, if I ate 2 or 3 cans, I probably would be a OMAD day for me, because right now the 1 can was, but I don't know, maybe you guys have me all thinking like, I could probably have another can here. It's okay.
How weird is it that this little tiny amount of food is so unbelievably satiating?
Yeah, I'm still very shocked at what I experienced with this. That's why I'm really anxious to see if I can make it the 10 days. I'm looking forward to it. And if any of you who are watching are jumping in and going to give us your input, that would be awesome, because it's great to just keep getting look, Wired for Healing sent a 10 spot and said, here's to the sardine fund, because that might be, because it's on a linked one. So it's on one of your channels, guys. This is awesome. Carnivore Werewolf. Good evening, ladies. I was scared of sardines and I saw y'all eating them and I tried. Yum. Huh. So actually to go from actually like scared and then saying yum, I thought, okay, I could tolerate this. I could. Anybody coming to Austin who's out here watching? Because that would be great to get together and feast on some beef after a stint of sardines. Oh, now this is interesting. Laura K says, I already found that I binged on the fish, egg, chicken salad. Going to try the plain sardines. Very interesting. I guess, you make it too enticing. I could see how, because it was actually really pretty good, especially if you put a little pickle juice in, a little mustard. And now we're getting to the point where, what are we doing here? we're losing the game. So
99% of the time, I either eat them plain or I add some mustard, and that's it. That's what I mostly do.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do a touch of hot sauce. But, all right. Thank you so much for joining in, and go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for all of our channels. I have you all, streaming to each of the channels so that we can all just try to spread the word of what we're doing and see if anybody else will get enthusiastic and have as good a results as we so far are feeling we're having. And hopefully we will see you next Monday and join us in for our 1 week update. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great sleep.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Enjoy fishy.